you are guilty unless you can prove yourself innocent, and we'll let you try to prove yourself innocent on our terms alone. And I've seen this firsthand. I've stood in a courtroom. I stood up in a courtroom, and there's a video of this on my channel, and told this judge, I shook that Constitution at her, and I said, you are a criminal. You're the one that needs to be arrested. And of course, I got drug out of the courtroom and arrested. Now, this was at a local court. And so this poison, guys, goes all the way down to the local level. The rule of law, and it is really scary, Michele. But at this point, I mean, we've got our appeal to heaven and we've got exposure. We need to get cameras in those courtrooms. It is unacceptable that this stuff is not being broadcast, because these are unquestionably being operated as secret courts. They're intimidating and coercing people into not speaking. The people of Burns are still being terrorized by the FBI. They're being pestered. They're being harassed. They're being questioned. I think we need to realize where we're at. And so if you have anything to add to that, that's fine. But also what I'd like from you, though, is how are they doing? Are we hearing from them? I mean, I'm assuming, did they put these guys now in solitary confinement, and are they being treated? You know, that's not being treated well, but did they look okay? And are we hearing from them, and what can we do to help them?
I'm going to pass it to Assemblywoman Shelley Shelton sitting here with me, and she's going to tell you some things right now on that. Assemblywoman Shelley.
Hey, Gavin.
Hey,
nice to talk with you.
Yeah, likewise.
I know you probably know the ins and outs of the courts and how everything works, but the general public doesn't, and it's so difficult to even get to talk to somebody that is being incarcerated, or get in touch with them or get information about them. So on my website, I have some information about a lot of the people that have been incarcerated. It is a ton of information. It was put out on Facebook last night by Maureen Peltier, I think. I haven't been able to verify all this information, but from the people that I have been able to speak to, I've gotten that this is a pretty reliable source. And I also want to let you know, or your listeners need to know exactly what to do in order to keep in contact with, even if you're just going to send a letter to any of these, because it's important that while you're incarcerated, if you can keep in touch with people in the outside, it helps a lot. I mean, one of the notes that are on here, Pete Santilli, I thought this was kind of good. He wants to just have people write him funny letters, or letters that will make him laugh. Because, when you're in a situation like that, it's like you're in a totally different world. And you said something earlier that is so true. They are guilty until they can prove themselves innocent. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. But that's the world that we're living in here today. And many people are being treated like that. So I would just encourage all your listeners to go to Assemblywoman Shelley Shelton. It's on my Facebook page. There's about 3 pages of information about different people being held in different jails. I think the whole intent is to, transport them all up to Oregon. Maybe that's where the judges are favorable for them. You had asked about the judge's name. When we were there on Thursday, the judge that presided over those hearings was John Acosta. So I just wanted to
awesome. Okay, I appreciate that. That's great. So where can they find, what's your website again? Where can they find that info?
It's on my Facebook page. And so if you just search for Assemblywoman Shelley Shelton, it's SHELLY and then SHELTON. I just copied all this information and put it on there, and it has some of the people's attorneys' names, some of their numbers, as far as, they give you their inmate numbers, how to contact them, because people don't even know how to, if you have never gone through something like this before, you don't even know how to make a phone call to these people. And so this has a little information.
Right. That's great.
A little information about how to get in touch with them. And addresses are on here. Telephone numbers are on there.
Okay, good. So yeah, go to the Assemblywoman's page and check that out. And then And also I did see this, and we're actually parsing this too. What we're going to try and do is go look at what's there now. We're trying to refine that data more, along with each name, get links to their fundraiser pages and stuff like that. Because look, I want to call out America a little bit, guys. We said, first of all, America said they would be there in Oregon, and all of this happened. And so we can point fingers, or we can learn, and we can move on. Then, we're saying, well, we're going to be there in court. And so now there's these fundraiser pages are starting to come up. And I see this on the local level too. People always have an excuse. Oh, I can't show up in court. I have to watch football, or I have to go to work. Or, people's life, their liberty and their property, their honor, it's on the line here. And we really need to be supporting. We need to be supporting the cause, the message of liberty, and we need to be supporting these guys in jail. Because, Shelley, and you mentioned this as well, I've sat in these jails. I've been arrested. When they put you in these jails, we got to start loving our neighbor. There's this common thing of, well, jails shouldn't be comfortable. These people are criminals. No, they're not. Most of the people in jail have not been convicted. Most of the people in jail will never be convicted by a jury of their peers, because they will never even get that far. They will be bullied by multiple charges and prosecutors until they plea out on the charge the prosecutors want. And so even people that have committed genuine crimes, most of them, I would argue all of them aren't even getting due process in these courts. So we need to understand how bad it is, how isolated these guys are. Try to reach out to them. Try to show up in courts. And this goes for people locally too. But back to the list Shelley was talking about. Find these people. Find out how you can help. I'm really disturbed, guys. I'm really disturbed because somebody can do a fundraiser for a puppy that got hit by a car and raise more in 24 hours than we have for our patriots in Oregon. I'm not kidding. This is ridiculous. It's time to start stepping up, put your money where your mouth is, and decide whether or not you're going to step up and support liberty and support the patriots. And I know we're all in different places, so some of us show up and some of us work hard behind the scenes and some of us give money, but we've got to get engaged is what I'm saying. So.
And Gavin, what you're doing is helping immensely, because we have to educate our neighbors. If they don't understand what really happened up there, if they're just listening to the 6 o'clock news, people that just listen to the 6 o'clock news do not want to help any of these people because they think they're terrorists. And that's not what happened there. That is not what those people are. So if we can educate our neighbors and get them come together and join together for this cause, we can do way more than that we could even imagine. And you educating people with your YouTube videos, because I'll tell you, I've talked to some of the family members that have had the FBI come to their house, and a normal person wants to help. A normal person wants to be helpful. So what do you think they have done? They have talked to the FBI thinking that they're helping. In essence, it wasn't until the family members got inside the courtroom that they realized they made a mistake and they should not have talked to the FBI. And that was telling to me there that they were willing to help until they got inside the court system and realized what actually happens in there. Then they knew, wait, let me take a step back.
Wow. What's happening in these courtrooms is not loving our neighbor. It's not Christian. It's not liberty. It's not America. And this is what I would say. Look, you want to do a field trip with your church? Go down to the court on Monday and watch people get abused. You want to be sobered about the state of our nation? Watch what they're doing. We have to start educating and loving our neighbor. And Shelley and Michele and all of you guys that were down there, I think this is really important too. First of all, let's emphasize anybody can do this. Anybody can take a camera and start talking. Anybody can use whatever skills you have to get the message out. And for you guys, this is great too, because let's face it, most of the world looks at legislators and elected officials and be like, yeah, they're going to be a day late and a dollar short, and they're going to make a statement once it's safe. And you guys showed up there even though it wasn't safe, and America appreciates that. And people are going to be looking at you. Really, you're setting an example for legislators of this is how you represent. And so please keep doing that. And what I'd love to see from you legislators too, I talk to legislators behind the scenes, and they tell me, yeah, well, this happened. You should have seen, you should have seen what happened on the floor yesterday. It was ridiculous. And what I would love to see, and I'm sure America would love to see this all the way up to Congress, when it gets out for the day, go out and turn on your live stream, turn on your cell phone, stand on the steps and tell the world what the people that are supposed to be representing just did, because I'm guessing that the statists don't really support you anyhow. So why worry about it?
You are right. You are so right
about that one. No, I mean, I know you guys are catching a lot of grief for this. So do either of you, Michele, I mean, what else? You know, the message here is liberty. The message is what can people do? They can start carrying this message, right? They can start supporting by showing up, by supporting with donations. I mean, as bad as these courts are, I said this in a video last week, you know, because people will say, well, we just should opt out of the courts. Look, you go to the court with a gun at your head. You don't have an option whether to go into the court. And, you know, it reminds me of Atlas Shrugged. And when he was standing up there and he says, you know, I don't recognize the authority of this court to try me. I'm here at the point of a gun. And that's really what we're dealing with here in our courtrooms, especially, you know, in the courtrooms like this. So what can people do? What else do you guys have to say about all this?
Well, so here's what I'm learning. I have to tell you, you know, when I had Cliff Gardner literally drive from Northern Nevada to Las Vegas yesterday to talk with me, and he's been battling with the BLM and these courts for over 30 years. And he knew the Hammonds back in the 90s, you know, when the shenanigans started. And this is just a man. And I mean, you can look his court case up. He's lost it twice. But he educated me on the Article 3 court and Article 4 court. And, you know, they're supposed to be this federal judge and this federal court is supposed to be Article 3, but it's not, because under the Article 3 court system, it's supposed to follow the Constitution to where the citizens have rights. Right. Under the Article 4 court, what they say, and when you read all of the verbiage from the courts, it basically says that they are plenary and without limitation. Well, what does that mean? Plenary and without limitation. That basically means with they have no limitations. They do not have to go to the U.S. Constitution to protect its citizens in an Article 4 court. So what that really truly means is if they're in an Article 4 court, it's a violation of their civil rights. People have to look this up. Plenary, plenary, and without limitation. That's what they're writing on all of that. That's typically an Article 4 court, according to Cliff Gardner. So if they were truly in an Article 3 court, because this is a federal case, they would have to be under the U.S. Constitution, which protects its citizens. If it's not, and understand, just as I'm learning this, I mean, there's so much to learn, and I did not study federal law, but as I'm learning this, so are the attorneys and so are the judges. Everyone doesn't have the answers. I mean, they take their bar and then it's all, you know, hands-on experience. We're going to go through this. We're going to go through that. This one, you know. And so they're supposed to follow written law, and they're supposed to follow, you know, the CFR, which is the Code of Federal Regulations. And the Code of Federal Regulations is different per court and different per, let's say, the BLM and this agency and that agency. All of these agencies have a different set of rules and policies. And if it's in the Article 4 court, so they go by, well, according to this regulation on the CFR, the Code of Federal Regulations from BLM or the Department of Interior or the ATF, everything is different. So it's convoluted. So what I'm saying to you is the federal laws are convoluted, and then the judges are deciding these